Tremendous decision you made to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our outstanding studios as always, because we've got a great guest. We have the iconic Solomon Wilcots, great player with the Cincinnati Bengals, very intelligent player, very cerebral. I mean, he was kind of like the quarterback of the defense back there at the safety position. Now it translates to his career after football, which is in the broadcast world, tremendous communicator and a tremendous ambassador of the game of football. And we have a lot of things to discuss. We have the sad news of the death of Dick Jauron, a friend of both of us, a guy that, we learned football from Dick Jauron. We kind of, everybody traded their thoughts and ideas on football, offense, defense, everything that goes along with it, and teammates and personnel. And I mean, we always had interesting conversations. We talk about the passing of a good friend of mine, Dick Jauron, and I'm heartbroken about it. And then we discussed Super Bowl 59. Great story there, I guess. I don't know about great, but I mean, I don't think anybody predicted that it was going to be 34-0 in the third quarter in Super Bowl 59. I mean, I was stunned. I was surprised, shocked, whatever the word is. We talk about that. And then also his responsibilities at Radio Row during the Super Bowl week. And then we get to the Cincinnati Bengals. We talk about the coaching staff changes and defensive changes that are going to take place, maybe some personnel additions and free agency and drafts. So we cover the gamut. We talk football at every single possible scenario and level we can with Solomon Wilcots, and you're going to like it. We know there's a million things you could be doing with your time, so we certainly do appreciate your carving time with us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, coming to you from the studio that they provide for us, which is second to none, as is our special guest today, the legendary Solomon Wilcots. Tremendous football player, unbelievable football intelligence, unbelievable athleticism, played the safety position in the National Football League as well as anybody. And then he took all that knowledge and football experience and he took it to the broadcast world. And he's a tremendous communicator. And he did an unbelievable job on Radio Row, Super Bowl week. I was listening quite a bit as I was driving around in my car. So, man, you had some great guests, Solly. It was really, really interesting listening to you guys talking about the game of football and everything that goes along with the Super Bowl. It's quite an event, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, it's evolved into something that it's not just a, Super Bowl Sunday is like it culminates what is now Super Bowl week. The entire week, there's a lot of business getting done. Obviously, a lot of shows emanating out of New Orleans. And they created this Radio Row experience for many of their media partners and working with Sirius XM NFL Radio. And we do a lot of NFL content, multiple shows throughout the day. We have a huge compound there on Radio Row. But Fox has their set there. Pat McAfee has a set there. There's radio stations from all over the country, and many of the top entertainment shows are also. My good friend Kevin Frazier, who now works with Entertainment Tonight, he's coming live out of that same location. So there's a lot going on. A lot of former A-lister NFL players and Hall of Famers all making the rounds through there. And it's a really great time. It's almost like a great reunion of a coming together of the entire NFL community and all of its media partners.
It's incredible. I think it's very wise for businesses to say, you know what? Yeah. I mean, this Super Bowl week is, I'm trying to figure out what's the best way that I can convey my message. How many different tools do I need to convey it? Well, that week, Radio Row and everything that goes along with advertising and promoting the Super Bowl, man, you go there, you've got the world. You've got the world at your fingertips. And then, commercials, $8 million for a 30-second spot. Oh my gosh, man. It's unreal.
I mean, I work in other businesses, and that's where we believe it's a wonderful opportunity to bring our clients there because the eyeballs of the entire world are focused on that location.
Yeah.
And that's what you do in media. Really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get as many eyeballs as you possibly can, whatever the product is, whatever services that you do provide. When you're bringing that many people into a concentrated area, you're able to communicate, get your message across to a large audience. And we believe it benefits our clients. It benefits, us at SiriusXM NFL Radio. We're a broadcast partner of the NFL. And so
Sure.
the NFL's done a great job of creating these platforms where they get to reward their partners. And I look at you and myself and other former NFL players. We're still tethered to this great league of ours that offers us the opportunity to do kind of what we're doing right now because we know that the NFL is a product that everyone still loves, that they relate to very well. And I think we're really blessed to have that kind of relationship with a great company or a great league like the National Football League.
You make a great point about, everybody's tethered. And that brings me to, we'll get back to the Super Bowl discussion, but man, we all lost a great friend. And the game of football,
Yeah.
I mean, your teammates and a bond is built that way, on the football field. Everybody's codependent. It's about we, us. It's not about I, me. I mean, it's the greatest team sport there is. And we lost a good friend in Dick Jauron on February 8th. And I mean, Dick Jauron, such a decorated athlete, not just football. I played against him, Solly, in high school. I played football and basketball against him, and he was. I mean, it was like I'm talking to my hero. This guy is bigger, larger than life. I mean, that's really Dick Jauron. I'm going to go touch Dick Jauron. I mean, he was like legendary. He was, a parade All-American running back in high school, set every record there is to set. His team won state championships. He gets notoriety. Then he goes to, and the Red Sox wanted him out of high school to play baseball. Then he goes to Yale, and you can't play as a freshman, but 3 years. He starts at Yale, rushes for almost 3,000 yards, breaks Calvin Hill's rushing records. He's a consensus All-American. Then he plays baseball, and he gets drafted by the then St. Louis Cardinals out of college. I mean, then he said, let's go to the National Football League. His second year in the league, they moved him to safety. He goes to the Pro Bowl. He has 5 interceptions, goes to the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, every level he's like achieving at the highest level. Then he gets into coaching. In 2001, he's coaching and it gets Coach of the Year with the Chicago Bears. They go 13-3. He goes 8-0 in one-score games. So now he gets Coach of the Year. He gets into that profession. So whatever he got into, he achieved at the highest level. But the thing about him, Solly, is his wife, unfortunately, Gail, was stricken with Alzheimer's. So he gives up coaching. He gives up football. He gives up, the love of his life for the biggest love of his life, his family and his wife. And he's her personal caretaker for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And he gets stricken with brain cancer. And he's not feeling right. And something's wrong with the way he's cognitive reasoning and everything. He goes to get checked out, brain tumor. And 10 days later, unfortunately, we lose Dick Jauron. But man, just a unbelievable athlete, but even more quality human being. And I mean, I know you have a relationship with him as well. He was 101, wasn't he?
Oh, look, and all those things that you just said about him are 100% accurate. But he's an even better man, better person. Yep. I mean, you meet this guy and then you read all those things and you say, wait a minute, it's the same guy. Because he was probably one of the most humble, most self-effacing individuals you could ever meet. And brilliant, by the way, just brilliant. I loved the meetings I would have with him. I loved the production meetings because I knew I was going to learn something about the game. I put him in that same category as a Dick LeBeau, as a Bill Belichick. Dick Jauron was a genius. I'm telling you right now, every player who played for him, everyone who knew him, all the other coaches, he was the guy that you could go and talk to, and he was such a wonderful man. He was just such a wonderful, humble person. Like you could be around Dick Jauron and you wouldn't know he did all those things that you named them all, right? And it took a while to get through all of it, and it's all true. None of
Yeah.
it's made up.
Yeah.
But you would not hear from him that he did any of those things. Like you'd have to hear it from someone else because he wasn't going to tell you anything about himself. He just never spoke of himself in that way. He didn't think too highly of himself, and he was just all those things you said. He was all of that and more, Dave. He really was just a consummate gentleman, brilliant, very intelligent, knew
Yep.
about a lot of things more than just football, right? And
Yep.
man, we don't have. Think about today. We don't have. Of course, he's rare, so we are not going to have a lot of people like that today, right? But man, I can't think of anyone that I could put in that category with Dick Jauron. I put him and Dick LeBeau again and Bill Belichick all in that same area. But his humility was the thing that stood out to me in terms of who he was, his accomplishments, and his ability, but how he carried himself. And players absolutely loved him.
No
Everyone
question.
loved the broadcasters. We come in and talk to him. We absolutely loved him. We rooted for his teams to do well.
99.9% of the time, he had a smile on his face. I mean, he'd
That's
walk
right.
around every day, every minute of every day with a natural smile on his face. That was his countenance, And he'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, how you doing?" I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, do you ever have a bad day?" I mean, it's like, but he was unreal. So, Tali, in 1980, he blows his knee out returning a punt. I mean, he's gone for a touchdown, but no contact, just cutting on the turf. He goes down with a knee injury.
Wow.
So he can't play on our 81 team when we went to the Super Bowl 16. Couldn't pass the physical, but wanted him around. So Dick LeBeau and Hank Bullis say, "Hey, dude, why don't you coach with us? You're not really a coach. You're on the roster as a player on injury reserve, but we want you up in the booth. We want you looking at things. If you have a suggestion, please don't hesitate to." LeBeau said he was unbelievable. It was another set of eyes up there. It was like he was the assistant defensive backfield coach. And we go to the Super Bowl. I felt so badly for him because he wasn't able to play. But he said to me, "Look," he goes, "Hey, big boy, I'm contributing, man." And that's the thing about him. He had such a great football mind. I mean, his football IQ. He never, coaches always want a player to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to do. That was Dick Jauron in a nutshell right there.
It sure was. Heck of a player. I had a chance to watch some tape. I remember having conversations with Dick LeBeau, and he would tell me about Dick Jauron, what kind of player he was. And really, he was talking to me about the football IQ that he had. And that's what, Coach LeBeau wanted me to see the game through that kind of lens. He would often talk to me about the game at different moments. And then, I remember going back to cover him, and when he was coaching, the head coach again in Chicago, a team that he took to a Super Bowl, right? Remember that? And I just remember talking with him, and, to think about this, he was such a student of the game. He was so brilliant. And then to think that it was no surprise that he coached, that he played, I should say, under Paul Brown, that he was in the same room with a Dick LeBeau. Like, they're okay. There you go. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I started to put it all together after I got to know him more. I could see some of Paul Brown in him. I could see some of Dick LeBeau in him. It was so phenomenal, and I could see why they saw him as having a really wonderful career as a coach. I'm sure it wasn't easy for them to see this guy's gonna make a really good and maybe even a great coach one day.
Yeah, you're right on it, Saul. I mean, his dad was an iconic high school football coach in Massachusetts. I mean, unbelievable winning percentage. So when he decided to go to Yale, he could have gone anywhere in the country. And I'm like, Yale, why Yale, Dick? And he goes, well, one big reason is Carmen Koza is the head coach there. Legendary. I mean, set all the records at Yale. One of the winningest coaches in the history of college football. Dick already was like, in his mind, I'm thinking, I might want to do this my whole life, and he could have done anything, You know,
Yes, yes,
he
he
could
could
have
have.
done anything.
He could have went in another profession. Could have been a doctor. He could have been a lawyer. I mean, he was that brilliant, right?
No doubt.
He could have done anything, but he decided to make coaching his profession. And and that brings up a really good point because I talked to Bill Polian. I talked to some of the people I'm really close to and coaches I know really well. Coaching, the business of coaching has changed. I do think there are coaches who go into it because they know it's a lucrative profession, and I don't begrudge them for that.
Right.
You and I both know the truly great coaches, particularly the guys who coached us back in the day. They went into coaching because they wanted to make a difference in the lives of young people. Many of them
Yep.
were just an extension of becoming a teacher, kind of like the great Vince Lombardi, right? A Jesuit educated young man from Fordham. Wanted to be a priest, but then he wanted to get married. Of course, priests didn't marry in those days. He wanted to figure out how was he going to give back to humanity, and he wanted to go into coaching. He used coaching as a platform to really give back. And Dick LeBeau's that way. Dick Jauron's that way. There's so many. Andy Reid is that way. I can name you so many coaches. They went into it as a vocation not because they thought they would make it big economically. It was about their willingness to give back to young people, to pour into young people. They were great teachers, and that's what Dick Jauron was.
Couldn't agree. And Dick Jauron, rest in peace, my friend. You more than deserve it. And we're already missing you, and we're going to miss you. I'll miss you for the rest of my life. I know that. He was
Awesome.
great player, tremendous friend. I mean, you talk about a guy that, like I said, family was first, and then football and friends. But I mean, family was of the utmost importance to him. Just a class act. Let's shift gears to the Super Bowl. And I don't know about you, Solly, but to me, I was stunned, shocked, surprised. I don't know. Pick one of the S words. I never thought the bad boy was going to be 24-0 at the half. There's in my wildest dreams, I never thought it would be a 24-0 halftime score. I mean, the Chiefs get a first down rushing on the first play of the game, and that's the only first down they get in the first half. And they don't get another first down. And Philadelphia scores 24 points. The Chiefs have 23 yards offense in the first half. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Talking with Ed McCaffrey, his son, Christian, of course, playing with the 49ers, they've kind of lost, the Chiefs have lost, the 49ers have lost twice to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl game. So Ed's trying to figure out a way, some scenario, under what scenario could he see the Chiefs not winning this game? Because we almost all agreed that the Eagles have by far the better roster. I mean, if you were to check off offensive line, you would give that to the Eagles. Defensive line, you give that to the Eagles. Even their wide receivers, right, and their secondary, their defense. Almost every position except head coach and quarterback, right? You say Andy Reid gives them an edge or Mahomes gives them an edge. But all the other positions, running back, you go with Saquon Barkley, you go with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, maybe tight end. Of course, you go with Kelsey over Dallas Goedert, but pretty close.
Yeah.
And we came up with the scenario that because the Chiefs were 17-0, had a 17-game winning streak when games were decided by less than a score, just like their previous Super Bowl just 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57, that maybe the only way the Eagles can win is to blow them out. Don't even allow it to come down to that. Because in a close game, Mahomes is going to beat you. Because we went through this so many times. We talked with so many people who were coming through and doing the show with coaches and former players. Almost every single scenario, it was like, if a game is close, this is going to go to Kansas City. And we all we wouldn't allow ourselves to think that the Eagles would blow them out. We just wouldn't let us, we couldn't even come to that conclusion. But we did know that it was their only way they were going to win, that they were going to have to literally put it on the Chiefs. But even that, we didn't think was even possible.
That first half was so stunning. I mean, the Chiefs, 1.2 yards per play in the first half. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When it's the first half shutout, I'm thinking, well, there's never been a shutout in NFL history. Could this be the one? And I thought,
Yeah.
not the Kansas City Chiefs, not with everything they've gotten, but weapons that they have. I mean, at some point they're going to put points on the board. But man, it was unbelievable. And as you know, Solly, I mean, I'm listening to the radio and watching TV, and everybody's talking about, and rightfully so, three-peat. I mean, it's history. No
Yeah.
team had gone to the Super Bowl a third time after winning two in a row. They've already set that record. But if they win it, now it's a three-peat. And here's Philadelphia just sitting there saying, yeah, well, we're gonna really prepare. We're gonna attention to every detail. We're gonna just get ready to play football. We're gonna have a quiet confidence, and that's what with them it was all quiet confidence all week. And when you reflect back on it, you think, you know what, man, the intangible factor there was like it was big in the Eagles' favor.
Yeah, no team had ever won 3 straight Super Bowls. It's
Right.
that hard. And the
Yep.
Chiefs were 4 quarters away. I mean, coming into the game, they were 4 quarters away from doing what no other team has ever done before. Only
Right.
only 2 coaches in NFL history has won 3 consecutive championships in the pre-Super Bowl era, and that's Curly Lambeau and Vince Lombardi, both Green Bay Packer coaches. Go figure, right?
Right.
So yeah, we knew it was hard to do, but what I didn't count on is that all of the talk of a three-peat, what it is after the game, that's what all the Eagles defensive players are talking about, how it motivated them, it was the thing that allowed them to focus. It was the thing that fueled their energy to play at a level and play as well as we had never seen them play at that level. I mean, 3 takeaways, 2 turnovers. 2 interceptions off Mahomes, 1 returned by a rookie, Cooper DeJean, 38-yard pick 6 in the first half of the game to help blow the game wide open. The defense was just in their bag. The Chiefs couldn't run it, they couldn't throw it. They even tried a few screen plays, which is what you do to slow down a hard charging pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles. That didn't even work. And when you think about it, Dave, the Eagles didn't blitz once the entire game. It was literally a 4-man rush. They were just a NASCAR pass rush the entire game, but they had a rotation of guys. They've got like 8 guys in the rotation, and with the veteran Brandon Graham being available for this game, he added to that rotation. So they had a fresh wave of pass rushers that really took advantage of a vulnerable Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. Pat Mahomes was running for his life, and I think we kind of found out, and you and I already knew this, quarterbacks can't win games by themselves. As much as people want to give quarterbacks a win-loss record, and we act like quarterbacks are the guys that get it done, this is still a team game. And when you have a complimentary quarterback that knows how to play with a great defense, they don't have to go out and throw for 300 yards. They don't have to do all the tricky stuff. It's just good, sound, fundamental football. That's what you saw from the Philadelphia Eagles. It was nothing spectacular. They didn't even blitz. They didn't dial up anything exotic defensively. No trick plays on offense. It was just good, sound, fundamental football, and they dominated the line of scrimmage on offense, and they dominated the line of scrimmage on defense.
There's no doubt. I mean, Sweat had 2.5 of the 6 sacks working against Tooney, and across the board, it was nothing fancy. It was bull rushing. They ran right through their face. There wasn't a whole lot of moves, not a whole lot. Just I'm coming. I'm knocking you back. I'm taking you back. I mean, it was unbelievable. The sequence that I'm sitting there and I'm going, what am I looking at? Sack, pick 6 by DeJean. 2 sacks and then a pick 6. I'm thinking, whoo.
Back-to-back sacks, right? Led to the pick 6.
3 plays, sack, pick 6. I'm like, oh, man, it's over.
That's
at that
dominant.
point at 17 minutes. Like, man, here we go. And I thought Vic Fangio, like you said, he never brought more than 4. I did see defensive line drop, a linebacker or somebody come, but it was never more than 4 guys. So it doesn't go as a blitz because, it's only a blitz if you bring more than 4. But he had some fake pressure packages, though, kind of deals that he was utilizing there.
Yeah.
But man, I thought Vic Fangio had a great scheme. I thought, he always had 7 guys in coverage, and
Yeah.
he'd play some cover 1. He'd play cover 4 shell. He had
Yeah.
a robber. He had Blankenship playing a little robber. He had DeJean as a shadow on
Yeah.
Kelsey. He did all kinds of stuff in that back end. I thought Vic Fangio, you don't give MVPs to coaches, but dude, if they did, he deserved it.
Yeah, you do. When you do what they did, pitch a shutout in the first half. You have all those sacks, all those pressures, 11 hits on the quarterback for the entire game. 5 times they pitched a 3 and out against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You do that against that head coach and that quarterback and that kind of dominance. I mean, the defense even scored a touchdown. I mean, for crying out loud. They did everything that you would want a defense to do. It was just complete dominance. What I love about them is they run a type of quarters coverage, which all 4 deep defenders dividing up the field in quarters. Each guy has a quarter of the field. But what they do is they match to the patterns, which is smart because, I don't like secondaries that cover grass. You got to learn how to run zone coverage, but match up to the patterns of the combination routes. You read 1 and 2 to your side. You have 2 deep defenders. You just match it up, right? And rarely are they flooding the zone with a 3rd defender. In that case, you still want to get your depth, and the linebackers can take the underneath guys, but they just do such a wonderful job. It's something that Vic Fangio even evolved because he normally doesn't play rookies because he likes to do a lot of those match pattern sort of combination coverages on the routes. And most rookies, that's kind of complicated stuff. But he adjusted. He did play Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie from Toledo. He did play as the season went along. They integrated Cooper DeJean, who really became like their 5th starter at that nickel cornerback position. And I love the defensive backs coming out of Iowa. I wanted the Bengals to take Cooper DeJean like nobody's business, to be honest with you, especially when he was still there in the 2nd round, just because they're so well coached by Kurt Ferentz. You get a lot of really good players coming out of that program on the offensive line and in their secondary. And his skill set, I really do like it. I think he's a hybrid safety corner, but he has such a good football IQ. I thought he would be able to play early, and his first career interception was a pick 6 in the Super Bowl on his 22nd birthday. It doesn't get any better than that.
Unreal. It's never happened in NFL history for your first pick 6 to be on your birthday in any game, and he picks the Super Bowl.
In any game, that's right.
So Saquon Barkley, 25 carries, averages 2.5, 3 yards a carry. I mean, he didn't really beat him up on the ground. But I'll tell you what, I had more respect for him after the game because he was a weapon in the receiving game. Yeah. Let's pick up. He protected his quarterback, lead blocker. When Hurts is running the ball for 72 yards, breaking his own record. In the 2 Super Bowls he's been in, he's got the 2 most rushing yards at the quarterback position. 70 yards the prior time against the Chiefs in the loss, and 72 yards in this game. And Barkley's lead blocking. I got a lot of respect for Saquon Barkley.
Look, I've interviewed him, been around him. You're not going to find a better talent with a more team-oriented sort of mentality. And look, it was unfortunate the way that the Giants handled it. You and I both know if the Giants would have really just been truthful, they would have said to Saquon, tell us what teams you want to play for. We'll trade you there, except not in the division, right? And they would have said, look, we're not ready to take advantage of your talents. Your talents are – but instead of they tried to sort of devalue him, even in his own mind, in so much they let him hit the free agent market. That's how he ended up in Philly. He was very close to becoming a Chicago Bear, but he goes to Philadelphia. And you and I both know he breaks every franchise record, particularly for a single season. He had a chance to break the all-time single-season rushing record held by Eric Dickerson, and he put the team first. Decided that last week, and I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to rest. and we're going to get ready for the playoffs. We're playing for something bigger. He took his personal goals because he even said it. I would love to do it, but I'm going to put the team first. He said, my family wants me to do it. I want to do it, but the coach and the team asked me not to do it. There you go. You and I both know there are a lot of players. If he breaks that Eric Dickerson record, he punches the ticket to the Hall of Fame right there. There's no doubt about it, right? He said, no, I'm here to do what's best for the team. That speaks volumes. He will be beloved in Philadelphia the rest of his life. He won't have to buy another Philly cheesesteak ever again because guess what? It's always on the house for Saquon Barkley.
I was glad that he ended up breaking Davis's record for regular season and playoffs, though. I'm glad he got that one, since he sacrificed the single season rushing record. Yeah. I've used the time. You're so unbelievable. I was hoping you might just have one quick comment about the Cincinnati Bengals. We get time for it?
Sure.
Okay, the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, they've revamped the coaching staff, particularly on the defensive side of it. They have a new offensive line coach who I'm very intrigued by, and an new assistant. I'm intrigued by those guys with their unique techniques and everything they're going to be teaching. But what do you think of the defensive coaches, and what do you think needs to happen on the defensive side of the football, Solid, to get the Bengals to Super Bowl 60?
Yeah, first I want to talk about Scott Peters, who I'm really high on. I had a chance to work with him in a program that Merrill Hodge and I were doing, and we brought Scott Peters in to work with our offensive linemen, work with our offensive line coach, and he's from the Bill Callahan kind of school, so he knows that while like the Jim McNally school of sort of fan blocking in that zone system, he also understands how to work the duos in the power run game, how to pin and pull. He's kind of multiple in that way. And he's got some new techniques in terms of hand placement and how that wins for you. It's going to be a lot. I think it's really good stuff. This is cutting edge stuff. This is where offensive linemen have to go because the athletic guys on defense, they're supremely more athletic than the offensive linemen who are big in nature, but not nearly as athletic as like what you saw with Josh Sweat. He overwhelmed. Joe Tooney is a phenomenal tackler. The guy's an all-pro. But then he's overwhelmed by the athleticism, sometimes combination, like a Myles Garrett and what they would do. Those guys are hard to block for some of these linemen. So technique is going to matter. When it comes to the defense, I have concerns because we got guys who are going to be leaving via free agency. B.J. Hill, expected to hit the free agent market. Mike Hilton, Von Bell, Joseph Osai, Akeem Davis-Gaither, guys who have been around for a while. Yep. And now what you're getting is some turnover, right? You're getting natural turnover by attrition. You've got to start to hit on these draft picks. You've got to start to hit on the free agent signings. I'm the last guy to want to see Mike Hilton walk out the door. He's been so good for us. I don't know that we've had a better free agent signing in the secondary since maybe Reggie Nelson, right? Guys like that. This guy is as good as it gets when a guy comes from another program, fits in, and he becomes one of the pillars and foundational players for what you do. We could lose Trey Hendrickson, who's already talking in a nice way. Trey is very classy, but you and I both know he kind of came back in 2024 in a proven year, and boy, did he, right? Led the league in sacks, and now he's kind of like, okay, I got a family, and he came and that's what he told us on our show. You got to either pay me or trade me, because that's where he is right now. He's not going to give him another freebie. He feels like he's more than proved it. I think I would have very little evidence to argue against him. So, look, we got our work cut out as a football team. I like the hiring of Al Golden. I think he's multiple. I think he understands the back end and how it works with the front end and getting pressure. I think he's a guy that would like to be able to get pressure with 4 because he loves to play with 5 and 6 defensive backs. He like a Lou Anarumo, right? he
Yeah.
has some of those same principles. He was around when this team went to the Super Bowl in 2021 as a linebacker coach.
Right.
He,
Right.
he gets the way the organization wants to do it. And I think he has some new ideas of how he'd like to do it within the framework that's provided. So he's not coming in looking to get rid of really good players. He knows how to embrace what's already there, but still how to build upon getting new players that fit into a scheme that they don't have to change a whole lot, right? So I think it was a really, really good hire. I think this is a hire that should be met with applause.
I agree. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting season. I think the offense is going to continue to operate at an extremely high level. I think maybe a little tweaking with the offensive line will take place. The defensive, the coaching staff overhaul, like you mentioned, Solly, the personnel that hopefully put the bat on the ball in multiple rounds defensively. I'm excited. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a long off season, but that's the NFL officially ended the 2024 season with Super Bowl 59, and it was not as anticipated, but it's still got a lot of eyeballs and a lot of ears. There's no doubt. Solly, I can't thank you enough. I know you're a busy man, and rightfully so, because nobody knows and communicates the game of football any better than Solomon Wilcots. You are the best, sir.
You're the best, Dave. Thank you very much. This is a game we love, as you well know, and if you treat it good, right, it'll take good care of you, right? You and I both know it's quite enjoyable. So thanks for having me. Always enjoy coming on with you.
You're a tremendous football ambassador, Solly. Appreciate the heck out of you.
All right, buddy. Take care now.
Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off-season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please, do me a favor. Subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.